Okay, just think about the sheer amount of digital stuff we create every single day. Emails, social media, reviews, news. It's overwhelming.
It really is a flood. And the striking thing is what, maybe 90% of it? It's not neat data in rows and columns.
Exactly. It's, unstructured human language mostly, text, audio. And that's, well, it's a huge challenge, but also kind of a massive opportunity, right?
Absolutely. A massive opportunity to understand things better. Businesses, the world around us.
Yeah.
But only if we can make sense of it. It's like a library full of books in a language you don't speak.
Right. And that's where our focus is today.
Natural language processing, NLP.
Yep, NLP. Basically, it's the tech that teaches computers to, well, understand and work with our language, human language.
It's the bridge,
Yeah.
essentially, between us and the machines, unlocking all that value buried in the text.
So our mission for this deep dive is to really get into the core ideas of NLP, how it's used, what the big challenges are, and where it's all heading.
And we've pulled together quite a range of material for you. Academic papers, industry blogs, research notes, basically from 2019 right up to now. Should give us a pretty good picture.
Okay, let's start with the why now. We mentioned that data explosion. The numbers are just wild. I mean, even back in 2019, people were pointing this out.
Oh, yeah. It hasn't slowed down. We're talking something like 147 zettabytes globally this year, 2024.
Zettabytes, it's hard to even picture that scale.
Right. And maybe 181 zettabytes projected for 2025. And here's the kicker, about 70% of that. It's generated by users, by us.
Wow. All those posts, reviews, comments.
Exactly. It's this incredible stream of consciousness about what people think, what they want, what's trending. But, I mean, humans can't possibly read and analyze all of that manually.
No way. Far too much.
So NLP gives us the tools to sift through it, find patterns, pull out what's actually meaningful. It bridges that gap, that human-computer communication chasm.
Okay, so how does it actually work? You mentioned it's a mix of AI, linguistics, computer science.
Yeah, it's pretty interdisciplinary.
Yeah.
But at its heart, you've got two main things going on. NLU, natural language understanding, and NLG, natural language generation.
NLU and NLG. Got it. Let's break those down. NLU first.
Sure. NLU is all about comprehension, getting the computer to read or listen and figure out the meaning. What's the intent behind the words?
Okay, understanding. And there are some really interesting ways that's used, right? Like sentiment analysis.
Absolutely. Sentiment analysis is a big one. Figuring out the emotion, positive, negative, neutral behind a piece of text. Like analyzing customer reviews.
Didn't Nike use this pretty effectively?
They did. Reportedly saw like a 15% increase in positive brand sentiment and a 20% jump in social media engagement just by using it to understand customer feedback better.
That's significant. It's not just counting mentions, it's understanding the feeling.
Precisely. It gives businesses a much clearer picture of, customer satisfaction, campaign impact, that kind of thing.
Okay. And then there's entity recognition, NER.
Right. Named entity recognition. This is where the system identifies key bits of info names, places, organizations, dates, stuff like that.
And that's useful for...
Oh, loads of things.
Yay.
HR uses it to screen resumes faster, pull out skills and experience. Finance uses it to quickly scan reports for company names or key figures. It's a massive time saver.
I can see that. Automating the tedious parts.
Yeah, it's about speed and accuracy at scale. Things humans just couldn't do alone, not with that volume of text.
And you mentioned intent recognition, too. That seems pretty straightforward, figuring out what someone wants to do.
Essentially, yes. Understanding the goal behind a user's query or command. But, getting that true understanding, it's still tricky.
Yeah, I saw some research notes mentioning efforts to add common sense reasoning and the challenges around really interpreting language deeply, even just a couple of years ago.
That's a key point. NLP is great at pulling out facts and stated intents, but grasping the nuances, the implied stuff, the sort of background world knowledge we all have, that's still a work in progress.
The common sense gap. We'll probably come back to that. Okay, so that's NLU, understanding. What about the other side, NLG?
Natural language generation. That's the creation part. Getting the computer to write or speak like a human.
So turning data into text?
Exactly. Taking structured data like numbers in a spreadsheet or database and transforming it into, a coherent paragraph or report. Some companies use this for automating financial report summaries, for example, turning complex figures into readable text.
That's really useful, taking dry data and making it narrative.
It is. And, the real magic often happens when you put NLU and NLG together.
Ah, okay. How so?
Well, think about conversational AI, chatbots, virtual assistants.
Right, like in customer service.
Perfect example. H&M has one called Ada. Vodafone uses one too. They use NLU to understand your question.
And then NLG to write the answer back.
Exactly. Understanding and generation working together to create that dialogue.
It really does feel like a conversation sometimes. So, okay, we've got the core concepts. Where else is NLP showing up, both in our everyday lives and in business?
Well, day to day, it's kind of everywhere, often hidden. Search engines, for instance. Google's BERT update was huge for understanding the context of your search, not just keywords.
Right. Makes search results way better.
Totally. And voice assistants Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant, they're powered by NLP. Email filters, sorting spam, suggesting replies.
Smart replies. Yeah, I use those.
Social media feeds, filtering content, your phone's autocorrect or predictive text. It's all NLP working behind the scenes.
It's become so ingrained you barely notice it. But for businesses, it sounds like it's more of a strategic thing.
Definitely. It's moving beyond just convenience. It's about managing huge amounts of data, getting closer to customers, making operations more efficient, making smarter decisions, even driving innovation.
So across different departments?
Absolutely. Marketing, we mentioned sentiment analysis, trend spotting. Sales can use it for lead scoring, figuring out which prospects are most promising.
Customer service, obviously, with the chatbots and maybe routing support tickets.
Yeah, huge impact there. ResearchGate actually highlighted how it's revolutionizing customer service. HR, too, we talked about resume screening. There was a journal article on that just this year, 2024.
Okay. What about, say, finance or operations?
Finance uses it for things like fraud detection. JP Morgan Chase, HSBC were often mentioned. And automated reporting, like we discussed with NLG. Operations, think predictive maintenance. Siemens analyzing sensor data, text logs, maybe?
Oh, looking for signs of trouble in text data.
Exactly. Or quality control like BMW or Bosch analyzing customer feedback for issues. Even supply chain analysis using NLP to find risks or inefficiencies in reports or communications.
Wow, it really does touch almost every part of a business. Market intelligence for strategy, too, I suppose.
For sure. Understanding the competitive landscape, identifying market shifts, it's incredibly versatile. There are lists out there, top applications for 2025, guides to real-world uses. The scope is just huge.
Seems like endless potential, but it can't be easy. Teaching computers our language, there must be some major roadblocks.
Oh, absolutely. Huge challenges. Ambiguity is a massive one.
Ambiguity. How so?
Well, language is just inherently slippery, isn't it?
Yeah.
We have lexical ambiguity. One word, multiple meanings, like bank, riverbank, financial bank.
Right. Context is key.
Then there's syntactic ambiguity. The sentence structure itself can be read multiple ways. The classic example is, I saw a man on a hill with a telescope. Who has the telescope?
Huh. Yeah, I see. Or, I guess you see, with the telescope.
Exactly. And semantic ambiguity, where the grammar's fine, but the meaning's still unclear, like the chicken is ready to eat. Is the chicken eating or being eaten?
Okay, yeah. Language is messy. I saw some blog posts mentioning this, even in the context of things like ChatGPT.
Yeah, even advanced models grapple with it. And it's not just word or sentence level. The broader context is crucial.
Which leads to context dependency.
Precisely. Meaning depends so much on the situation, the conversation history, cultural norms. And think about non-literal language. Sarcasm, irony, idioms.
Oh, yeah. Sarcasm must be a killer for sentiment analysis.
Totally. If the system takes sarcastic praise literally, the whole analysis is wrong.
Makes sense. And language isn't static either, right? It changes constantly.
That's another big one. The sheer scale. Countless languages, dialects. Plus, language evolves. New slang pops up. Industries develop specific jargon.
And people misspell things all the time.
All the time. There are research papers just on handling misspellings. And ensuring accuracy across multiple languages, that's a whole other challenge.
It's like trying to hit a moving target. And then there's that common sense thing you mentioned earlier.
Right, the common sense gap. This is fundamental. NLP models, even really big ones, lack the basic, everyday understanding of the world that humans just have.
Like knowing not to mix bleach and cranberry juice?
Exactly that kind of thing. It's not typically written down in the text data they learn from. Researchers are actively working on this, trying to build common sense knowledge bases, but it's a deep problem.
It's fascinating. They can write poetry, but don't know basic safety.
Sort of, yeah. And finally, just getting enough data can be a problem.
Really? With all the data we generate?
Well, yes, But it needs to be the right data, often labeled data. And for many languages, what we call low-resource languages, there just isn't that much text available to train models effectively.
Ah, okay, so data scarcity for less common languages. That makes sense. There are initiatives trying to address that, though.
Yeah, things like shared tasks, specific research programs, focusing on low-resource NLP, but it's definitely still a bottleneck.
So, okay, despite all these hurdles, ambiguity, context change, common sense, data, it still sounds like NLP is incredibly important for the future. Strategically vital, even.
No question, is moving from being a niche tech to a core capability.
Yeah.
And the pace of development is just accelerating.
So where's it heading? What are the big trends?
Well, the elephant in the room is large language models, LLMs.
Right. GPT-4, GPT-4o now with the real-time translation stuff, Llama, Gemma.
Exactly. These huge models are pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Though it's also important, as some research points out, to look closely at potential biases within them, especially the open source ones.
Good point. Ethics and bias are crucial. What else?
Multimodal NLP is getting bigger, combining text analysis with understanding images, audio, video, getting a richer picture.
So understanding the text and the picture it's describing.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Or analyzing video transcripts alongside the actual video.
Yeah.
Also, more focus on emotional intelligence, better understanding of nuance, tone, maybe even that tricky sarcasm.
And the ethical side you mentioned.
Definitely. A growing emphasis on fairness, transparency, mitigating bias, building trustworthy AI is becoming paramount, as it should be.
That feels really important as this tech gets more powerful.
It is. And alongside that, continued progress in low-resource NLP, making it work for more languages. And analogy is getting better too, enabling much more sophisticated hyper-personalization.
Hyper-personalization, like really tailored communication.
Yeah, imagine marketing or support messages crafted specifically for an individual based on vast amounts of data, but sounding perfectly natural. Lots of sources are talking about these trends for 2025 and beyond.
It really sounds like we're on the cusp of some major shifts. Okay, so if we were to boil us all down, what's the main takeaway from our deep dive today?
I think the core message is that NLP isn't just some tech curiosity anymore. It's a fundamental, rapidly evolving field that's absolutely essential for navigating the ocean of language data we live in.
Right. It unlocks understanding and creates opportunities everywhere. Business, daily life.
Yeah, optimizing how things run, improving customer interactions, driving innovation, making better decisions. It's becoming less of a back office tool and more of a strategic, front-facing differentiator. It enables really personalized, data-driven interactions at every point.
So we've covered the why, the what, and a lot of the how, drawing on all those different sources.
We have, and maybe that leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener.
Yeah.
Well, thinking about how sophisticated NLP is getting, especially these LLMs, what new possibilities, or maybe what new challenges and ethical questions might be just around the corner? Things we haven't even really started to think about yet in terms of how we interact with information, with tech, with each other.
That's a good question. Definitely something to chew on. What does it mean when the lines get even blurrier? Interesting.